All right, so we're about to color Little Miss Vogue with our new dye, Crazy Liberty. This one's pink, and I don't have purple, but I'm thinking of mixing some pink and blue for the bottom half to make myself a bit of a more fuchsia pink or a brighter pink. So first of all, I like to apply to dry hair. So I have her on dry hair. The next thing is when I'm doing a color that hasn't been done in a while, I will put it in a dish, and I'll show you why. So I'm going to squirt a pretty good amount because she has lots of hair and takes a lot of dye, and making sure that her hair, it's been not only brushed out, but it's been combed and it's actually laying fairly naturally. I wouldn't want it to be, you know, all up in some areas and down in others, because then when I put my line in, it's not going to be straight. So I'm actually going to comb this all fairly down, just lightly, so that when I've poured it in here, I'm going to use a flat coloring brush, and this is how I'm going to set my line. So I'm determining where I'm going to be, and typically I'll make sure I'm matching. I'm probably going to go up a little bit higher than I was, and then I can start. And it's pretty easy once you set your line, because then after this you have to go in and fill in all the under stuff. But for now, so I'll let you watch a little bit of it, and then I'll maybe pause and move on to the next step. So you don't have to watch the whole thing unless I speed it up. I always like to have a cloth on the table, just because, you know, it can get a little messy. Her feet are growing back in from being shorter. I'm not going to protect her feet because I'm going to let them be colored. But if you were not wanting their feet to be colored, you would want to put some cholesterol or other protectant on it. That's going to be a nice bright pink, isn't it? Now that I've got my rough line set, you'll see that underneath is all still white. So now I'm going to start getting the underneath section. That's probably the most work on a dog that has this much hair, is getting everything down. You don't have to get it down to the root. It'll have a really nice peekaboo effect. You know, as long as their hair's fluffed up, you'll still see the color quite uniformly. I do prefer to try and get it down as much as I can. So. I'm actually going to ask for this foot. See what you can see. Oh, you can see good. Alright, so let's... Now you don't have to use a brush the whole time. I generally use a brush just to apply, and then rub in with my fingers. And I mainly use it for setting a line, but brushes, like toothbrushes and stuff, do make a nice job of rubbing it into the hairs. You can hear it. You're so patient, Bogies. Hmm? Put your foot down again for a minute. So do you see what I mean about setting your line? Because now that you're mucking around with it, you know, if you didn't know where that line was, it could be a little bit stressful. I have to admit, I generally just eyeball it and wing it, and once I blow dry it out, I know how straight it is, but so far it's done pretty good. Just remember that when you do your back foot, use your other ones for comparison, hey? So whatever you do on your first one, that's what you're stuck on the rest of them. So if you're going to be careful on your first foot. just because I want to see what it's going to look like, I'm going to skip to adding some blue, even though normally I would do all the pink first, but I'm curious. So I am going to add, so where are you? Can you see this? I'm going to add a little bit of blue in there. See what kind of shade it makes for me. The only problem is if I don't match up the shade later. But see, it's funny, it really doesn't look very purpley in here, but neither did the pink look very pink. When I wipe my finger, it looks purple. So let's try it. I'm gonna rub you in a little bit, make sure that all the pink stuff is rubbed in down as far as we want it to go. And then now I'm going to lift, because that's where I want the purple to be, more of a peekaboo effect. And oh yeah, that's a beautiful purple. Beautiful. I know I'm slopping it everywhere, but I figure if I'm going to color you, I might as well color you. Hey, might as well have purple toes. Let's get the back of your foot. Always keep lots of extra towels handy because I keep wiping my hands every time I switch between colors. Otherwise you're going to contaminate. So especially true of between a dark color that can really impact a lighter color, like purple to pink, or say for example I was doing blue and pink, of course those mixed would be purple. So unless I wanted everywhere to be purple, I have to be very careful. Okay, so I'm going to pause you because I have to rinse out my bowl before I proceed, but we'll continue. Okay, so I finished coloring all 4 legs. It took me an entire pink one, and I cut them open and get out every last bit that I can. If I'm doing a tail, I'll stick the tail right in there and swish it around. And I didn't take very much blue at all. I don't know if I can even see a line, but I've maybe used, you know, a little bit, not too terribly much. So yeah, I've technically, the timer for the first leg, it's already past 20 minutes since I started, but I have to go by the last leg that I finished, otherwise you'll have one lighter than the rest. So I've started my timer, and when you're working on an area like this where you can't really let them sit or lay down in a kennel, you can wrap it to some degree, but I've had leakage that way. So what I generally do, if I have a spot like this where the dog can't be moving around, I do have a belly strap on her just to make sure she doesn't sit and get foot dye from under her belly. And this is the time where I actually will work on scissoring the body or doing something else. They'd be standing there getting groomed anyways, and it works quite well for me. If it was a tail, I usually do wrap it in case they wag and just that kind of thing, and then I continue to do the rest of the groom. And so I will pause it again, and then you can join me in the rinsing. Alright, so now we're going to rinse. I'm going to choose, oh, and by the way, make sure you wear gloves. This touched my arm, I rinsed off with water. I'll try shampoo and see if it takes it off. So for rinsing, I'm going to do like a lukewarm water. I don't want cold. I don't want hot because I don't want to open up those pores. Let's see if I can do this. I'm going to try and do it in order that I did the feet, because that means that it's soaked the longest. So if I had the darker color on top, I would actually try and protect it like this. I would hold the one color while I rinse the top color and try and protect it. I'm not going to worry too much about it because it is a lighter colored pink going down into a darker purple. I don't mind having a little bit of pressure just to make sure, especially if you're using a lot of dye. You want to brush that hair and make sure you get it out, because if you don't get it rinsed out completely, the minute that dog gets damp, and I mean like doing the grass damp, you're going to stain your bedspread, you're going to stain your furniture, you're going to stain everything. Believe me, I've done it. I hated to see the color rinsing down the drain, so I one time didn't do a good job. So I'm watching my color going down, and I'm now not getting actually really any color. So that's it for me. I am going to use really gentle cleanser just to take any residue that's sitting on the top of the hair. My goal is not to shampoo it out of the hair, so I'm not using anything strong. Definitely no clarifying wash. So I'm actually using like a foaming face cleaner, because all it's going to do is it's not going to be strong enough to open up that hair shaft. It's only going to be strong enough to take any dye particles that are sitting on top. So let's move on to the next one. So again, if I was doing something lighter on the bottom, I would try and protect that bottom part. I'm not too worried about it. Good girl. I know. You're bored. Okay. It's rinsing quite nicely. It's not hard to rinse out. I've had quite a few brands where it's lumpy and a pain to get out. This one's rinsing out beautifully. It definitely won't slow me down. So I've splashed a little bit, I don't know if you can see that, but I splashed a little bit of just, I'm going to put, this is where this foaming shampoo comes in handy too. Just to make sure I don't have it on there. Too bad it's raining outside today. Oh, beautiful. I'm getting a slight bit of color. You're going to be beautiful. Okay? So because that back right foot was the last foot I colored, I'm actually going to rinse that one last. So. You can see how much color is coming off. So it looks like I'm not going to have any color left, but it's doing quite good. And you can see I did not bad. I've got some white spots underneath there, but I wasn't caring if I got it really, really perfect today, to be honest. I can always touch it up next time. Good girl. It has a nice smell to it. You know how some have quite a chemically smell? This one doesn't. It's got a little bit of a, like a scent. It doesn't smell like nothing, but it doesn't smell all chemically. I think it's Avatar that smells kind of chemically to me, and I can always smell it on the dog. It doesn't smell good like funky fruit does either, though. But it's just a slight smell. Alright, so so where's my arm? I'm gonna see if, well, that's not even moving it. Okay, let's do something a little bit strong. Let's do a little bit of full strength shampoo. Okay, so definitely wear gloves because this is not even really moving it. Okay, I'm going to go drying now.